The NBA Finals are done. We are into the off season. The draft is a couple days away. So it's not a great time to have to pivot on strategy when the player that carried you to within one game of an NBA championship has the lower part of his leg explode and now will miss an entire season. And that is what the Indiana Pacers are now having to deal with as we move into the offseason. There's a lot of different angles to attack this one at. The first, a wide open East gets even more wide open. But so first for the Pacers, given how they all stepped up and all the injuries in the East, they were going to be one of the favorites in the Eastern Conference next season. No question about it. They were going to be one of the favorites in the East next year. So this one is, again, devastating for them. And for Haliburton as well, as he had a chance to really get a full season of a lot of the acclaim that he was able to pick up from this playoff run. They still do have a solid group and a bit of a foundation to build on with Nembhard and Siakam, but the big decision is Miles Turner. He's a free agent right now. I have always been a big fan of his as a player. I wanted the Raptors to trade for him for a very long time, in part to pair him with Pascal Siakam. So I'll take a check mark on that one, thanks. But he's a free agent. I like him. I think the range makes him very interesting as a five. I think his length on defense, again, you combine it with Siakam and just the dog that is Nembhard and Haliburton when healthy. That's a tough team to deal with defensively, and they kind of figured out how to use all that this year. So on the one hand, you can still probably get under the first apron, because I don't think Turner, coming off the playoffs that he had, where it was a little inconsistent, and playing the position that he does, I don't know if a big raise is coming for him. And so there is a very real opportunity for the Pacers to still stay under that first apron and sign him. And then you come back into an open East with Siakam, Turner, Nembhard as kind of your big three. And a couple pieces that you like off the bench. McConnell's locked in. Toppin's locked in. Neesmith, I believe, as well. Mathurin. You have, like, a lot of your depth pieces are there. So you have a foundation to build on. On the other hand, the Pacers, I don't know if they haven't been a luxury tax team since the 05-06 season. I don't know if they're going to want to pay into the luxury tax if Haliburton isn't going to play just to get that deal. So, okay, you sign it, we're in the luxury tax, and now we also need to find a Haliburton replacement. So I can see where the Pacers, I don't think they should. I think they are so close, and keeping the band together would be great. But I could see ownership being like, okay, so our top player is out, and you still want us to pay into the luxury tax before we even replace the guy who's out. Huh? So I can see ownership maybe having a bit of a wrinkle at that. Again, I think they should, but there is the question of who do you get to replace Haliburton? And the obvious answer is nobody. Like, there isn't really a replacement. But from a literal, they need another human being to play basketball, there are a couple of options. Chris Paul's a free agent. I don't think that really fits the, pardon the pun, but pace that this team wants to be playing at here in 2025, 2026. But it would be an interesting fit anyway. Maybe D'Angelo Russell. You kind of hope that some of the good that he got from his time in Los Angeles can help translate, and the culture that you have built and the systems that you have can kind of maximize him as a player a little bit. But this is the area we're talking about when you're looking at point guards. It's those two guys in Brogdon, unless you are getting in on some kind of a trade where, and we'll talk about the Rockets here in a little bit, but if they want to flip Fred VanVleet out and make a move to bring in like a Giannis or something big like that, and you want to be a part of it in a 3-team trade, well, okay, but that's still $44 million, but maybe you can make it work. Like, there isn't a whole lot of options out there for this Pacers club to try to directly replace Tyrese Haliburton. I do think that there is still a world where they bring back Turner, and it's Turner, Nembhard, Siakam, and the bench that they have, and this is still a very competitive team in the East, but getting to this level again is going to be very, very difficult for this group moving forward. Just a reminder that you can support Couch Potato Diary and my cat's insatiable need for treats with the tip. The tip jar is available. There is a link in the description here on YouTube and on Twitch and Kick. We got the panels up there. So any kind of support you could give would be absolutely appreciated. Deeds has been a 16-month subscriber now with Twitch, and I love you to death for that, and I greatly appreciate it. And even if just your eye or earballs are on this product right now, that means the world to me. I'm just, if you have the means and want to support things here a little bit further, there is the tip jar there for you. So what does the Haliburton injury mean now for the rest of the NBA? I think there is definitely a 1% chance now that Giannis gets traded. I think if you're the Bucks, even with no Lillard, I'm looking at it like, okay, well, I got the best guy left standing now, so we're just going to run it back unless someone is going to give us just an absurd haul to bring Giannis to their team. We're just going to keep him and see what happens. And if it's still, if it sucks, we can move him in January. But for now, you look at it, Tatum, Haliburton are out. The Knicks look like they are a mess with the coaching search going on right now. The Cavs were absolutely embarrassed in the playoffs this last go-around. The 76ers are still probably going to be a dumpster fire. God bless my Raptors, but they're not going to be on any level to hang with a Giannis this upcoming season. So there isn't really that obvious, okay, that's a threat. There are some good teams. We'll talk about them in a second, but I think the Bucks at least owe it to themselves now to see what they can do in this season in the East with all these injuries and all this turmoil that is going on. I think it brings the Pistons closer to the contender conversation, which is, a little ironic that a problem with the Pacers helps the Pistons get back into contention. That seems to be something that happened at some point before. So that would be an interesting little wrinkle to that. But I mean, look, we just saw a young basketball team take one massive step and then another one the next year, and then they won a championship. The Pistons could follow that same thing. I'm not saying it is likely, but at least in the East, you got Cunningham, you got this pretty solid basketball team around him that pushed the Knicks to within a missed foul call in the corner of sending that series to a 7th game. So I think you have to at least take a look at the Pistons now as a real contender. And I think the Magic, we broke down their trade with Desmond Bane, was not able to get the video up in its own little segment because we were having some stream issues. But if you want to go back and watch the live, it's from the Game 7 recap that we did. But, I mean, you have to be loving life coming off of that trade right now. You have a defense that can rival what we saw in the NBA Finals, and now you have one of the 3 best three-point shooters, and again, minimal resistance in your conference. So they have to be absolutely loving it right now. We'll talk a little bit more here in a second about other trade scenarios and everything like that, but I do wonder if this makes Ja Morant and Triple J more available now from the Grizzlies. With KD traded, with Giannis maybe not being available now, if a team is really hot and bothered to go out and bring a young superstar in, the closest you can find is Ja Morant, and a close second is Jaren Jackson Jr. So now, if I'm Memphis, even if I before was thinking, you know what, we got a lot of pieces back in that Bane trade. Let's just see if we can run this thing back and see what we have in a couple of guys who helped us get to 50 wins at various different points in our franchise's history. Oh, wait. Why is every team in the East calling us? Why has Pat Riley phoned me 19 times? What does Masai Ujiri want from me? Oh, we're getting that for these guys? Okay. Change of direction. I think there are enough desperate teams looking for that game breaker, and all of a sudden, Ja Morant is the last chair left and the music's about to stop. So there could be, I think, a little bit more value for Memphis to try to make a move now that the East is opened up, the West looks scary as hell, and there are very few star players who are available, at least it seems right now, in the NBA. If you are watching or listening to this right now and are a wrestling fan and maybe not all that into some of the other traditional stuff, or you just want more wrestling talk from me, you're in luck. Living Room Lariat is coming up, a new wrestling podcast from Couch Potato Diary. It's going to have all the wrestling content from the week from Couch Potato Diary. A lot of wrestling stuff still living here on Couch Potato for podcast listeners and YouTube as well. But going to have all of it in one spot, plus couple other exclusive breakdowns not available on the flagship podcast. That will be launching this Friday morning, so be sure to check that one out. Again, keep it locked on my social medias for everything involving that.